The start of my walk. Going to be a miracle if I don't get stung. An English summer's day in Chelsham, Surrey. Today's story is about two medieval sites. One is at Henley Wood and one is at Holt Wood. It's not a long walk, it's about 3 miles, and let's get on our way. Boy, have we had some growing weather this year. Now we start to see I suppose the fruits of it. Maybe it'll be a good harvest if we get some consistency now. Oak tree is leaning very low. Whoops, a jungle trek already. This looks pathway through the wheat, or is it barley? I think it's wheat. How beautiful it is just to be out here. Just capture the tops there. I've just disturbed a deer there. You see the head bobbing along there. Amazing. It came from the trees in here and it literally just hopped its way along. What a great start to the walk. And my friend is up there. I think he or she is leading the way. I'm pretty certain I need to go in that direction. Got this small collection of trees here, and it looks like the elevation changes a bit. A bit dark in here. Wouldn't believe it's a bright summer's day out there. There we go. Much higher growth here. Wild roses here. Buttercups and dandelion and a little bit of oak tree there growing amongst other vegetation. And probably a wood pigeon that was a bit too slow for its predator. Sun gone in behind the clouds briefly, but still a very attractive view. Got some butterflies nearby. There we go. Come to say hello. It'll look like a dot on this screen, but you get the idea. A little muddy here. Wow. I'm about 6 foot tall. Stinging nettles are around about 8 foot tall. Another such wild growth. Already I'm thinking that what I came here to see will be much harder to see. But this is most definitely a footpath. Some concrete on there, stoneworks. Makes me wonder whether that's actually part of what I came here to experience. In which case, I don't mind that. So we've got a junction path that way. I'm heading this way. There is most certainly a lot of stonework here. And I don't think that's by accident. I mean, yeah, it could be kind of hardcore stuff, but I'm not so sure. This little bit of clearing. So I'm effectively in the middle of Henley Wood in terms of where the various paths cross. I've got the official listing here from Historic England, so I'll read you what it says. It's a medieval manor house in Henley Wood, 330 metres southwest of Old Bull Cottage. The surviving below-ground masonry and substantial earthwork remains at Henley Wood are well preserved. The earthworks are likely to contain further archaeological and environmental information that increase understanding of the land use and settlement history of the area. So we're right in the middle of that settlement right now. And it says the monument includes a medieval manor house surviving as earthworks and below ground remains. It is situated on north and west facing slopes near Chelsham. The earthworks comprise an outer and inner enclosure, both having a bank and ditch. The outer enclosure has been reduced on the east side, but is well marked on the other three sides. I'm not sure that we're going to see too much evidence of that today. We've got some serious height on the vegetation, and it has that effect of levelling everything, really. I mean, it may even be this high or fairly high in the winter, or it might be worth a revisit. So it goes on to say, a holloway or sunken trackway leads from the crossroads at Chelsham Common 300 metres to the north to the earthworks. Well, that's the route we're going to take going out of here. Partial excavation was undertaken in 1912 and 1974. This revealed a range of finds including worked flint, Saxon pottery, late 12th to 14th century pottery, medieval roofing tiles, an iron chisel, knife blade, an ox shoe and a stone-lined wall. A substantial medieval building with a central hearth, believed to date between 1180 and 1320, was also uncovered. The manor house is likely to be the remains of the second Chelsham Court Manor, recorded in the Domesday Book. Another way I can demonstrate what we have here is through the use of maps and technology. So I've got maps showing exactly where I am today, sort of current day view. And then we've got a really nice clear map from the 1950s. And also a LiDAR map. So I've used LiDAR before, but it shows the variations in ground level. And you can most certainly, by putting all that information together, see that this was clearly an enclosure, and as we know through the excavations that have been carried out, the medieval information as well. Negotiating the jungle-like conditions, I'm pretty certain this is the path I need to take. I'm being attacked here. Whoops. Didn't go with boots today, but it's only been muddy in a few areas and it's not horrendous. See my winter walks for more detail, but you can get the kind of jungle type feeling through the bracken and the thorns and the... Actually, a fewer stinging nettles here, which is good. Oh, there we go. And as much as I can tell, there's a lot of ground variation here as well. Opens up a bit more here. Under the canopy of the woods. Beautiful through there. Wow. And actually there is an elevation change. We're slightly higher there. Sweeping down here to the lower area. The app is suggesting I'm off the path a little bit, but I'm not believing it because this is most definitely a path. The path, it has to be. So it sort of suggested I should have been over there somewhere, but I'm not convinced. If in doubt, stick to the path. I know I'm going in the right direction from a compass perspective. So this track, assuming I'm correct, yeah, it's still, I just checked the app here live and it still shows it's parallel, but I don't know if there's another trackway over there. I'm not just going to go wandering all over the vegetation. I'm going to stay where I am because it's as I say, it's the right direction from a compass perspective. But yes, this would have been the original, this or that one over there would have been the original sunken trackway that took you to the medieval enclosure and buildings. manor house, etc. And we're just past the summer solstice and the light is pretty much right above, talking of which, on oak trees, fantastic. Right, this may present a slight challenge. Let's see, people have gone round this way, I think. Because it's literally come down over the whole path. I saw my target and I found a way. Wouldn't be as much fun, would it, if it was just a straight path, well made all the way through? God, we've seen some interesting things already. Or experienced, anyway. Now this comes out onto Chelsham Common Road. And I can see and hear cars. So, certainly in the right direction. So the route is almost like two loops, really. Although we do go through the middle of Henley Wood. But I loop back on the other side of, more east of Henley Wood on the way back. The more observant of you will notice that I'm now donning a high vis. And that's because I'm doing a bit of road walking. It's not far until I turn off, but I go back on the road again a bit later. So this is Church Lane and the Bull pub is over in that direction. Very pretty. Ledgers Road goes out onto Limpsfield Road eventually. And while I wait, another public footpath sign. They're everywhere. Just cross quickly and safely. Now, I've got a sign here saying public footpath. That's obviously private land. Ledgers Wood, says the sign. Important notices here. Oh dear. A stink horn, I believe. And you can smell it a mile off. There is a very disturbed bird making that noise pretty much above my head. Not a sound I recognise. It sounds a bit like a distress call or a keep out. It's kind of coming in that direction, but as you can see, it's just tree canopy. I thought I just saw a parakeet, but it's not a parakeet squawk. But if I keep walking away from it, then it should be happy with that. I came out just up there and opposite me there was a gate and someone's garden. This looks like it should be the continuation of the pathway. I will go and I will check my bearings. There looks like hoof prints here, so I'm calling it out as a bridleway. Private land. And we've got something down here. So we have a sign there saying keep to the path. That is what I do. There's been some development. You have a water feature in there. An impressive tree house, or a big nesting box, or a lookout post. That was on private land, that was Smuggler's Hole. And this would be the entrance to the enclosure through the kissing gate. Surface is a bit uneven here. Very important to watch where you're putting your feet. Difficult to pick out land variations here. So I'll read you some information like I did back at Henley Wood. This is from Historic England. So it's a medieval earthwork and buried settlement remains in Holt Wood, 370 metres north-northwest of Garden Cottage. The medieval earthwork and buried settlement remains in Holt Wood survive well and contain information relating to the construction and function of the site and the environment in which it was constructed. The monument has been shown by excavation to retain surviving evidence of medieval farm buildings. Now, I've not seen anything at all like of which I think I saw at the previous site. The monument includes a medieval earthwork denoted by a bank and a ditch and buried archaeological remains. It is situated on flat ground in the southeast corner of Holt Wood. The earthwork is kite-shaped with two long straight sides on the northwest and southwest sides and two shorter sides to the northeast and southeast. The earthwork is donated by a single bank and ditch with an entrance in the centre of the northwest side. The bank is approximately 0.5 metres high by 3 metres wide, and the ditch falls 1.5 metres below the top of the bank and is 2 metres wide. A deep water-filled depression, traditionally known as Smuggler's Hole, is located on the southwest side of the earthwork. So we saw that earlier. It was actually over the boundary into private land, but I gave a quick visual of it. The associated spoil mound overlies the inner bank. These features are likely to post-date the earthwork in the later medieval period. The earthwork was partially excavated between 1955 and 1958. A large amount of pottery dating from the 13th century was found in and around the earthwork, indicating that it is of early medieval origin. Two late 13th century domestic hearths and flooring of a modest type of dwelling were also uncovered. In addition, the gravel flooring and post holes of 15th and 16th century farm buildings were revealed. The earthworks are likely to be associated with a nearby medieval manor house in Henley Woods, which is a separate scheduled monument. I'm going to head on to what I believe to be the external boundary of this site, and then it will take me around onto Church Lane and then sort of heading back, skirting round past the Henley Woods area again. Sun catching that rather beautifully. But yeah, just sort of looking back on the Holt Wood development, not that you can see anything, but again I'll show what it looks like current map. View from the excellent 1950s grid map and the LiDAR. That gives you a proper feel for what was here in this particular land area that we're in now. Right, we're going this way. Well, this isn't fun, is it? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The things I do for you people. I love every minute of it, by the way. May have just brushed a stinging nettle. No surprise that one of these fellas got me, even though I've got my The arms up high. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I'm an absolute fool sometimes, I think, doing this, but it's good for the visual. When you're watching them on your TV or your iPad or phone or whatever. A bit more sensible here. How are things where you are in your part of the country? If you're in the UK, I can bet it's very much similar to this. So if it wasn't for that, you'd think there's no pathway there. Just got to grin and bear it, probably get stung another couple of times, and then come out the other side. Oh, maybe this way. Sue would not have been impressed if I'd have said just come out on this walk with me. It probably wouldn't have happened. A lovely English country lane, there you go. Summer's day, lovely light coming through the trees there, through the leaves. Wonderful. As kids we would go out on our bikes a lot, and I do remember one summer holiday day cycling over to see Nan and Grandad all through these lanes. Quite a trek. I remember Nan making us a hot sweet tea when we got there. Recovery. Old style. Okay, I've slightly missed a turning, but I don't think it's the end of the world. My original planned route had me walking effectively across the field, and I managed to miss my entry point for that. It sort of still roughly comes back to where I wanted to go anyway. It avoided doing what I'm doing now, which is walking along the road, but as I'm high-vised, it's not the end of the world. That's where I started the loop. So this is slightly along. We've got a notice here, part of the Vanguard Way. Wow. Every time I see something, a feature, some stonework, I'm now thinking, oh, it could be part of a development from a bygone era. Well, yes, it could. There's a bit of a line going there, that way, and possibly the other way. Or it's just material that's been put here to help make a path. Someone out there may know. I remember when the Time team did their digs, and they would use so many different methods to determine what something was. Picking out linear features is a term I recall as I walk through a cobweb. I make no apologies for picking out the beauty of the countryside. There should be a turning to the right up here that will represent the exact corner of the Henley Wood enclosure. And I think this be it. Yep, so putting a map on screen now of exactly where we are. We're actually on the corner. Can we see any evidence? Well, it's raised there in a ridge compared to here. If I pan round and it drops down. But really quite an obvious, put my finger where the line is there, and then it slopes down. and then I'm here on this level. These cameras do flatten everything out. It's sort of, yeah, clear ridge. So I'm assuming that is the very edge of the medieval enclosure. How cool is that? Lulled into a false sense of security by the tree canopy. The 6 to 8 foot high vegetation is back, but it's not so bad, and I'm used to it. This is where I was earlier, I think. No, I'm pretty certain I was. I think this is where I stopped. There should be a left turn up here. Stone on the ground. There we go. Dear oh dear. When I say dear oh dear, I'm not complaining. It's just sometimes a little bit of a challenge, but well worth it. Won't be long trousers, sunscreen, jungle formula insect repellent. I think I'm covered. Even bought one of those little tick removing tools just in case. Oh, it's a bit muddy, but I'm okay. I must feel like putting on full PPE to go for a hike, and then you'd be too hot. I think I just brushed past some cuckoo spit. There is so much going on the typical footpath. I'm forever seeing a squirrel hop or a bird fly across. And here, look at this. I can hear the buzzing, there's things flying around everywhere. Teeming, it is, teeming. A little bit of grey up there, but still very, very pleasant. There's a lot going on in there. And they'll fly away when I walk off. Vanguard Way sign back there, and this is Ledgers Road. The final part of the walk.
Good morning.
Morning. Now over here is where I started my Nor Hill and Worms Heath and the Gun Battery walk. So almost a bit of a loop within a loop. So that was a nice country walk. Month of June, the sun is high, it's warm, it's getting warmer. The growth was incredible. It was literally like a jungle out there. And I did my best to show you what evidence we can of the enclosures and earthworks, but actually the maps really are probably the best thing that can give you that proper context. So I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up if you did. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd really appreciate it if you did do that too. Join in the comments, always good fun to have a conversation. Importantly, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.